One mother. Huh? All your papers are over?
Yes, sir.
So now what is going on in your school? In algebra,
We are
geometry?
normal classes from Friday, and they haven't released all the marks. They just released marks for one subject.
Which marks?
They haven't released the marks, but I need to email us the marks for each subject. So they have just released marks for one subject.
Which one?
Hindi composition.
Hindi. Hindi, okay. So from tomorrow you have, today was the last exam?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. So what they are doing in maths? Algebra,
We
geometry?
have it on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay, so tomorrow you'll get to know.
Yeah.
We had started with the third chapter, that is polynomials. And the last topic that we stopped was types of polynomial based on the power. Okay, types based on degree. Correct? So on that, the first type was linear polynomial. So in linear polynomial, the degree is 1. Also, you need to remember the standard form for linear polynomial is ax plus b. Second is quadratic polynomial. So quadratic polynomial, if the degree of the polynomial is 2, then we say it is a quadratic polynomial. And the standard form of a quadratic polynomial is this: ax square plus bx plus c. This is the standard form for a quadratic. And lastly, we saw cubic polynomial. If the degree of the polynomial is 3, then it is called as cubic polynomial. The standard form of a cubic polynomial is ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d equal to 0. Okay, so this was the polynomial classification or types of polynomial based on degree. Before, what you studied was based on what classification or types based on terms. So if there is one term, you call it monomial. Okay, if there is one term, you call it monomial. If there is 2 terms, binomial. 3 terms, you call it trinomial. Okay, so let's see the next concept in this. And next, if you remember, last time you had asked me a question, if the degree is more than 3, then what will we call that polynomial? So if the degree is more than 3, we call it as nth degree polynomial. Okay, and this is the standard form of nth degree. Now that n can be anything. It can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6, and so on. So an nth degree polynomial looks like this. an x raised to n, where a is a coefficient. Okay, this is a coefficient, plus a n minus 1 x raised to n minus 1. So this, if you see, for the variable, the power n that you, for the variable n, what you have is the power. But for the coefficient, what n you have, that will denote the term. Okay, I'll show you what does this mean exactly. So plus,
Like 2x.
yes, no, plus a2x2 plus a1x plus a0. So for the variable n will denote the power, but for the coefficient n will basically denote the position. Okay, which position it is. So for example, if it is fourth, if the degree of the polynomial is 4, suppose, then the general form will look like this: a4 x raised to 4 plus reducing powers. Okay, then you keep reducing it. a3 x raised to 3 plus a2 x raised to 2 plus a1 x raised to 1 plus a0 x raised to 0. But this a0 x raised to 0, you can just write it as a0. That is the meaning, the position. So this is the first position, which is a4, or coefficient, we can say. Coefficient of x raised to 4 is a4. Coefficient of x raised to 3 is a3. Coefficient of x squared is a2, and so on. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in this, an minus 1, a2, a1, dot, 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 a2, a1, a0, these are all coefficients. Now, always one thing you need to keep in mind, that the coefficient of the highest power of the variable. Okay, for example, in this one, the highest power is x raised to 4. Now you see the coefficient of x raised to 4 is a4. So always the coefficient which is of the highest power will always be not equal to 0. Always. This you have to always keep in mind. It will always be non-zero. Can be anything else except 0. Same thing in the general form, an, which is the highest power. So if you see this, x raised to n is a power.
So could you instead of the a and x, could you give me a numeric representation?
Numeric, yeah. Numeric is simple. It will be any number. Suppose 2x raised to 4 plus 7x cube plus 8x square plus 4x plus 9 equal to 0. So just a4 is nothing but the coefficient with x raised to 4. So that means in this case, if you compare, a4 is 2. Because it is the coefficient of x squared. So coefficient of x squared term. Then here a3 will be 7. Why a3 is 7? Because coefficient of x cube is a3, and here coefficient of x cube is 7. Similarly, a2 will be 8, a1 will be 4, and lastly a0 will be 9. So these are nothing but the coefficients of the variables. So coefficient of x squared, x raised to 4 is a4. Coefficient of x cube, a3, coefficient of x square, a2, coefficient of x, a1, and so on. Clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And as I said, always the coefficient of the highest variable term. So in this case, coefficient of x raised to 4 is the highest variable. X raised to 4 is the highest degree for the variable, and the coefficient should always be non-zero. So in this case, coefficient of x raised to 4 will be denoted as a4, and a4 is always not equal to 0. Clear? So if you see
Yes,
now our general form, we write it like this: an x raised to n, then it keeps reducing. So a n minus 1 x raised to n minus 1, it keeps reducing up to you reach to a2 x square, a1 x, and lastly a0. And always this is the highest power, because after that it keeps reducing. So the coefficient of the highest power xn is an, which should always be non-zero. Okay, which should always be not equal to 0. Clear?
yes, sir.
Okay, now I want you to write this definition. Write down this definition, this general, give the heading general or standard, general form or standard form of,
1 second, sir. 1 second, sir. I can't find my pen.
yes.
Done, sir.
Write this example also.
Done, sir.
Okay. Next, let's see standard form, coefficient form, and index form of a polynomial. Now we have to learn three more concepts. What is the meaning of the standard form? What is the meaning of coefficient form? And what is the meaning of index form of a polynomial? So one by one, let us start. First, let us see. Standard form we have already seen. If it is a linear polynomial, the standard form is ax plus b. If it is a quadratic polynomial, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. And if it is a cubic polynomial, the standard form is ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Now, one thing to note in all of these three in the standard form is the powers of the variable are in descending order. What do you mean by descending order?
From top to bottom, high to low.
Yes, from a bigger number to smaller number. So if the powers of the variable are in descending order, then it will be called as standard form. Okay, so I'll just write the definition for you. The first standard form. So if the powers of the variable are in descending order, then it is said to be in standard form. Okay. So if the powers of the variable are in descending order, then it will be said to be in the standard form. So see, for example, polynomial, write down this 2x cube plus 3x
So
square.
the standard form description also.
What standard form is?
That standard form, and if the power of the variable, I have to write that also, right? Sir?
Yes, write the definition also. Yes, put the heading standard form of a polynomial. You put the heading standard form of a polynomial. Better if you always write the definition, it will help you to remember later. So if the powers are in descending order of the, if the variable or if the terms are in descending order of the powers, then it is said to be standard form. Okay, can you look at the screen and tell me whether this is in the standard form or not? Is this in the standard form?
45, 5, 40.
No, sir.
No, this is not
They
in the
are
standard
random.
form. This is in the standard form. So if they are not in their descending order of power, then it is not in the standard form. So to check, you just have to see whether they are in the descending order of powers or not. Okay, can you just tell me whether this is in the standard form? The third one. Just 7.
So wouldn't it need to be a binomial for it to be a standard form?
Binomial. No, don't think in terms of variables. Don't think in terms of the how many terms are there. Just see whether it is in the decreasing order of power or not.
No, sir.
There is just one term, that means x raised to 0, and there is nothing. There's nothing. So this, see, you cannot compare it with, you cannot say whether it is decreasing or not. Just one term is there. You cannot say if it is increasing or decreasing, just one term. So even if it is just one term, it will be in the standard form. Okay, if it is just one term, it will be in the standard form, because you cannot say it is increasing or decreasing. So you can assume it will be decreasing.
मग आता घर करले दादाने चिकून आहे
Done, sir.
तेरे को फोन करूंगा
Second is the index form. Let's see what is the index form.
शांतिलाल बीसी शांतिलाल का हम करूंगा
Okay. Second is the index form of a polynomial. Now, what is the meaning of index form of a polynomial? In a polynomial, if any term is missing, okay, any power term is missing, like for example, understand this with the help of this example. Okay, you have the polynomial 3x raised to 4 plus 2x squared plus x plus 7. Now, can you see the highest, what is the degree of this polynomial?
4.
4. And now this is in the descending order. 4, 2, descending order of the power. Okay, 4, 2, 1, 0. Yes, but can you see one power is missing? And which is that power that is missing?
Cube.
Huh?
Cube.
Cube, yes, cube is missing. But we can write that cube also. 3x raised to 4 plus 0x cube plus 2x squared plus x plus 7. Yes, is this right? If any power term, yes, say.
So how does the x come?
How x comes? Here with 0. What 0 multiplied by any number is? 0.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. So 0 multiplied by this variable is also 0. Now here it is just a way of writing it. Okay, just a method of writing it. Now the x cube term was missing. But that you can write, it means it is not present only. Missing means it is not present only. The x cube term is not present. So you can just give coefficient 0 for it and write it. Okay, this is just a method of writing it. Although it is not present, but we have to show it is there. And that can be done by giving the coefficient 0. So if you add any term that is missing, okay, any power term that is missing, then the polynomial so formed that the new polynomial will be called as the index form of the polynomial. Clear? What is index form now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there some lag in my voice?
No, sir.
No, no. Okay. So I'll just write it. Yes, say.
I was just thinking whether I understood.
Okay, okay. So I'll write the definition. If any term is missing in the polynomial, then you write that term with the coefficient, with 0 coefficient. Okay, with 0 coefficient. Hence, this polynomial will be called as index form of the polynomial. Clear? Index form.
Yes, sir.
Write it down. And write down the example also. So if any power term is missing, see, it has to be higher, okay? Can I add, could you add 0 x raised to 5 before this? Could you add 0 x raised to 5?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
No, you cannot add 0 raised to 5. You have to keep one thing in mind, that powers less than the, yes, powers less than the highest degree. The highest degree is 4. All powers less than 4 should be present. Okay, and if anyone less than 4 is absent, then only you add it, but not more than the highest power. So this is the index form here.
Done, sir. No, sir. I have to write it. Done, sir.
Okay, and now we have the third and the last form, that is the coefficient form. Okay. Now, in coefficient form, what happens is now, as the name says, coefficient form, what you do is you just have to pick up all the coefficients from the polynomial and just write the coefficients. For example, if you have the coefficient, if you have the polynomial 3x squared minus, okay, 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay, now pick up coefficients of each term. So what is the coefficient of x cubed?
3.
3. Coefficient of x squared is
4.
minus 4. Look at the
Minus 4.
sign also, minus 4. Coefficient of x is
2.
2. And the last term is 1.
1.
So you're writing all the coefficients like this in the round brackets. This will be called as a coefficient form. Okay. Just picking up all the coefficients and writing it with commas and round bracket will be called as a coefficient form. Now, given any coefficient form, you should be able to form the polynomial also. Okay. Given any coefficient form, you should get back the polynomial also. Now, how to get the power? You count the number of numbers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you should understand this first term is the coefficient of x raised to 4. Second is the coefficient of x squared. This is the coefficient of x, and this is 1. You understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So see, for example, one more. If you have the polynomial x raised to 4 minus 1. Now, what will be the coefficient form of this? Okay. First,
0 and minus
1. How 0? What is the coefficient of x raised to 4? No number means?
1. Null.
No. Coefficient of this. What is the coefficient? What is the meaning of coefficient? Unmute and say.
Like it's like 4x4 and 4 is the coefficient.
Yes, the number with the variable is the coefficient. Yeah. So what is the number with x raised to 4?
There is no number.
So there is no number. That means it is assumed to be 1. 1. If the variable is present, variable is there, but you cannot see any number with it, then it is 1. If the variable is absent completely, then you put it 0. Understood? Are you understanding the difference?
Yes.
Now this is can you write this in the index form? What will be the index form of this? Highest power is 4. Which are missing? Which powers are missing?
3, 2, and 1.
So how will I write that?
0x3.
0x cube plus
0x square.
0x square plus
X.
0x. 0x.
0x.
Because it's missing, no? 0x. And last?
1.
Minus 1.
Minus.
Okay. Now you look at the coefficients of each variable. Coefficient of x raised to 4 is?
1.
Coefficient of x cube,
0,
x square,
0,
x,
0,
and last
-1.
-1. So this will be the coefficient form of this polynomial x raised to 4 minus 1. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
I hope you understood why coefficient of x square is 1 and why coefficient of x cube is 0.
Yes, sir.
Okay, x cube term is not present only. X cube is not there only. That is why 0. But x raised to 4 variable is there. It just does not have any number in front of it. So when it has no number in front of it, you should understand that it means it is 1.
Yes.
Clear? Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'll just give you the definition, coefficient form. So writing all the coefficients of the variable in descending order. So writing all the coefficients in the descending order of their power in round brackets. Is called as the coefficient form. So is coefficient form clear? Have you understood now what is coefficient form?
Yes, sir.
Write it down. And then write down the example also.
Done, sir.
Okay, so three forms we have seen. Standard form, powers arranged in the decreasing order of their variable. Then index form, if any variable is absent, you just put the zero coefficient and write down that variable. That is called as the index form. And lastly is the coefficient form. So writing all the coefficients, even which are missing, okay, writing all the coefficient in round brackets, that will be called as a coefficient form of the variable, sorry, of the polynomial. Okay, let's do one example. You have to write all the three forms of this polynomial. Okay, we have to write all three forms. First, let's start with what is the degree of this polynomial. What is the degree of this polynomial?
5.
5. Now let's start with standard form. Now in standard form, you have to just see that the variables, the power are in descending order. If it is absent, you need not bother about writing it. If it is absent, if it is not there, only thing you have to make sure you have to write it in descending order. So can you tell me which will be the first term?
Phone and asking whether it is ready, whether खाली support करेगा.
Say which is the first term to write?
Indian phone and after that, his shop gets closed now.
3m5.
Then after this,
5m3
plus 5m raised to 3, 5m cube, then
minus 7m plus 2.
plus 2. Okay, now let's do the index form. Now in index form, you have to be careful on what is missing. Which power is missing? Which power is missing? 5 is there. Then which is missing? 4.
4.
3 is there and one more is missing.
2.
2. So you will put 0 for them. So 3m raised to 5 plus 0
0m4
plus 5m cube.
5m3
Then
0m2
minus 7m
m
plus 2. Clear? Now coefficient form. So in coefficient form, what you have to do? Just write all the coefficient in terms of bracket. So 3, 0, 5, 0, minus, also be careful of the signs, okay? So minus 7 and 2. This is a coefficient form. Did you understand this all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I want you to write down this example. Write it down.
Done so.
Okay, we'll start with the exercise. First part only we'll do and then we'll stop. It's easy, first part. In this, you just have to identify whether the given expressions, algebraic expressions, whether they are polynomial or not. You just have to identify that. So we'll do this orally. So, but you write it in your notebook later on. Okay, so if you see the first expression, it is y plus 1 upon y. Is this an algebra? Is this a polynomial?
No, sir.
No. Why this is not a polynomial?
Because polynomials are only whole numbers and natural numbers.
Polynomials? Polynomials are whole numbers, or are you missing out something?
And natural numbers.
But you're missing out one thing. What of polynomials should be whole numbers and natural number? What? What should be whole numbers and natural numbers?
The coefficients.
No. Coefficients can be anything. Coefficients can be anything. What you have to check is the powers.
The powers.
Coefficients can be anything. It can be decimal, it can be fraction, anything. But the powers should be whole numbers or whole numbers. Okay, whole numbers, natural numbers, but zero also it can be. So powers. So whenever you say this is a polynomial, or y is not a polynomial, say that the powers are negative or power is not a whole number. Okay, just don't say polynomial is not a whole number. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So in this case, the power of this 1 upon y, it is nothing but y raised to minus 1, reciprocal. That is why this is not a polynomial, because the power of the variable is not a whole number. That is why it is not a polynomial. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So when you're writing this, write it like this and then write a sentence. The power is not a whole number, or the power is a negative number, which is not a whole number. Hence, it is not a polynomial. Clear? Okay.
Yes,
Will you able to write it? No.
Yes, I'll write it. I'll check the video.
Yeah. Second one, 2 minus 5 root x. Is this a polynomial? I told you something about root. What will be the power? Is it a polynomial or no?
No, so I don't think so.
It is not. But why it is not a polynomial? We had done this example. You forgot?
It consists of an irrational number.
The power is an irrational number.
Yes, yes.
No, but we don't say like that. Okay.
But sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Can the coefficient be a rational number?
Yes. Coefficients can be anything.
So only the power should be
only the
natural.
Power of what? Power of the variable. Now, that only has to be a whole number. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Coefficients can be anything. It can be root, it can be negative, it can be rational, it can be irrational, anything. We are not bothered about the coefficients when we are checking if it is a polynomial or not. To check whether it is a polynomial or not, you just look at the power of the variable. So now here, since this is root x, that means x has the power 1 upon 2. Correct? Root means power 1 upon 2.
Yes.
If it would be cube root, power would be 1 upon 3. If it would be fourth root, power would be 1 upon 4. Do you remember all this?
Yes, sir.
So now, is this a whole number? Is the power a whole number? Is 1 upon 2 a whole
Yes.
number? It's a whole number?
Yes, sir.
What are whole numbers?
0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2, 3. But this is 1 upon 2.
Yes,
Is
I didn't see the 1 upon. I did.
It's 1 upon 2. Root means 1 upon 2. So this is not a polynomial. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
I didn't see the 1 upon. I only saw it.
Yeah, but I hope you remember root x means x raised to 1 upon 2. You remember this?
Yes, sir.
Then what would be cube root x? X raised to
X raised to 1 upon 3.
1 upon 3. So if your variable is under the radical sign, okay, if it is something like this, directly you should be able to identify it is not a polynomial. It will not be a polynomial. But you should not get confused between something like this. Is this a polynomial? Look at the variable, okay? Power of the variable. Don't look at the coefficient. Coefficient can be anything.
It's a polynomial.
It is a polynomial. Yes, correct. It is a polynomial. So such type of questions, don't get confused, okay? Look, if you're identifying if it is a polynomial or not, look at the power only of the variable. Don't look at the coefficients. Fine, we'll stop here. So just write down the first one. Third, fourth one and fifth one is easily identified. You can identify easily whether they are or not. Fourth one directly you can say it is. Is it? Fourth one, is this a polynomial?
No, sir, it's not the polynomial.
What reason will you give?
The power is an integer instead of a whole number.
Yes, correct. So first part, see that you finish writing in your notebook. All three with proper statements. Fine?
So all 5, right, sir?
Yes, all 5. Yes, all 5.
What?
But by proper statement, I mean, if it is not a polynomial, just give the reason why it is not a polynomial. And if it is a polynomial, there's no need to give any reason. Just write, yes, it is a polynomial. Fine? Okay, so we'll stop here. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Bye, sir.
Bye.